That's the driver's side.
It's raining out. My glasses are all covered in rain. Wet and yucky and miserable outside. Get my iPhone out in the rain just for you guys. Do it for you. Hammer and chisel, these are like Stone Age tools. They probably used these back in the day. And I'm just like the Neanderthal. Oh my goodness, what?
So this side's still squatting. It's squatting already, and it doesn't even have any weight on it yet. Doesn't even have it's not even hooked up yet. I don't think there's any holes in this truck, any rust holes in it. It's pretty solid. There's a big dent here in the box, and in the front corner there's a big dent there as well. This corner seems to be sagging a bit, and when I look at the leaf springs, they seem to have a negative arch to them. So either this leaf spring is worn out big time, or it might have a broken leaf spring here. I'm not sure. I can barely get my hand in above the tire. It's got big oversized tires on it. They're 275/70 18s, and they're E-rated. 4-letter F word today. Cold start. Manual Ford. Oh, she's gonna do Ford stuff today. Come on, baby. Just pretend like you're a Chevy. Yeah, there you go. Look at her, boys. She's a beauty. Oh, yeah. This is an interesting vehicle. It's a Ford Explorer, but it's not just any Ford Explorer. It's not just any Ford Explorer. This Ford Explorer, I think it's a 97 or 98. This one has the GT40 5-liter high output motor with the GT40 heads, the Mustang intake. So I was told that these leaf springs will fit a Ranger. They're a little bit stronger than the Ranger because they have to support a little more weight. But this chassis is the same, like it's pretty much the same as a Ranger chassis. So they appear to be in good shape, much better than the Ranger. And if you look at the arc, they have a nice arc to them, like a smiley face. The Ranger is the opposite. It's more like a sad face because they're so worn out. But apparently these will fit. And they'll perk up the booty a little bit. So maybe to do a small lift kit might be simple, just to install these leaf springs and adjust the front torsion bars. But look at how easy it's turning. It's coming out. There's a keeper on the back side, and I checked the keeper, and yeah, the bolts are coming out easy, which is, wow, amazing for something this old. 5.0 liter. So this is the 5-liter. I thought it was the Mustang motor. It had the Mustang intake, the high output GT Mustang intake on it. So the intake is sold and gone, or the top end, the top half of the plenum. The lower half is still there. But apparently these heads are the GT40 heads, and you can see the manifolds, the way they come up. Manifolds, they instead of going down, they come up. So I think that's on the GT40 heads only they do that. So these are yeah, junkyard performance parts. places where you'd never expect. It's raining out, my glasses are all covered in rain. Wet and yucky, miserable outside. Well, there she is. Get my iPhone out in the rain, just for you guys. Do it for you. There she is. There they are. That didn't take too long, and I'm really glad that those front bolts came out. They came out relatively easily too. Like, they weren't difficult at all to get those front bolts out. Pretty easy. I'm glad they came out. Oh, I'm so grateful. So grateful they came out. Thank the gods for that. So, everything looks good. I cut the rear shackles, but I'm gonna take the bolt out later, work with that later. I've got the truck jacked up really high. Jacked up. I don't think it'll ever be that high. The shocks are probably maxed out. Anyway, I've got it jacked up probably to the max, and the pinion angle is almost straight as an arrow. Nice and straight. Well, yeah, it's pretty darn good there, I'd say. So I'm not too concerned about the pinion angle, but you can get shim blocks and longer shackles, add a leaf. I think there's several ways you can go about doing this. The main leaf seems to be okay. I don't think it's broken. I don't see any broken leaves. And these bolts would probably come out just the same as the Explorer. But the rear ones are the ones that usually give a problem, because they're back there in the mud and stuff. But now that it's jacked up, I can see there is a little bit of an arc to it, so it's not completely flattened out, and I think the main leaf is okay. So instead of struggling with these bolts, I think I'll just separate the packs, take the center pin out, undo this band here, and I'll separate the leaves. And I can do a bastard pack, they call it, or add a leaf. So a bastard pack is where you add leaves, or you build your own pack out of stuff like this. Yeah, that's why they call it a bastard pack. So I can build a bastard pack, and I think that's what I would call it, because these springs here from the Explorer, I got an 8mm wrench here, and the 8mm wrench is really snug on like all of them. It does fit, but it's really snug. So they're all 5/16 or 8mm thick, all three of them. Nice and tight on the 8mm wrench. And here on the Ranger, I can take the 8mm wrench, and it's a little bit sloppy. It fits on really easy, but I'd say that this is a little bit thinner than 8mm or 5/16. Now the 7mm doesn't fit either. Here's a 7mm. It does not fit, so it's probably like, I don't know, 7.5. Same with the second leaf, that's an 8mm as well. But the third leaf is smaller. The 8mm almost rolls right off. I can take the 7mm, and I can fit the 7mm wrench on that one, on that third leaf. But the 7mm won't fit. It won't fit on the Explorer, on the third spring. So these springs are thicker. So this one is 8mm all the way down. This third spring is 8mm also. And the 7mm won't fit. So I know these are going to be stronger. I know they're bigger. And I think I'm just going to break them down. I think I'm just going to take the center pin apart. There's a nut. There's a nut here. It's really crusty, but that's okay. You can grind that off if you had to. Sometimes I take a chisel and I come at it with a chisel sideways, and I'll split the nut, and once it's split, it'll just like split open sort of, and then it'll come off way easier. But I think I'm going to do a bastard pack or build a pack or add a leaf. And then I don't have to mess with the main leaf. The main leaf is the top one. It has the bushings in it. So I'll probably just separate them and take one extra, or maybe just get rid of the 7mm and add the 8mm. But I want to go a little bit taller too, because this truck sags a bit and I sort of want to lift it up a little. So I'll probably end up adding one leaf at least. They also sell these shackles and hanger brackets on Amazon as well. These ones seem to be okay. But you can also get extended shackles, longer shackles, and that'll give you a lift as well. The center pin that goes through these leaf springs has a nut on the bottom side, which is the opposite of the Ranger. The Ranger has the nut on the top. But anyway, it looks pretty rusty, that nut. And I'm not even gonna try to turn it with a socket. I'm gonna take a chisel and come at it from the side here, and I'm gonna see if I can split that rusty nut. There she is. I use the chisel and I come at it sideways and split that nut with the chisel. I think the threads are okay on the stud, but I don't plan on reusing the center pin anyway. Hammer and chisel, these are like Stone Age tools. They probably used these back in the day to carve like the tablets and stuff. Stone Age stuff. So I'll split this one here, and I got a pair of vice grips. I bet you that nut will just spin right off now. So I think I'll do the same. There she goes. Yep, there she is. That's some rusty nuts right there. Wow. Those ones are coming apart. So this bottom one here's a helper spring, I guess they call it. And there's a band clamp here. Stone Age tools. Back in the Stone Age. And I'm just like the Neanderthal. Oh my goodness. What? What happened?
There. I'll try not to use the main leaf if I don't have to. So here's the second one.
Okay, I got everything laid out and labeled. So before I took this last one apart, I labeled the front and rear. The rear is the part that has the shackle on it still, so that's pretty easy to identify. I think the rear is a hair longer than the front, so I went ahead and measured, labeled.
So before I take the springs apart, or before I do anything crazy, drastic, I'm gonna measure where I'm at right now. So the ground is a little bit uneven and stuff right now. So I think I'm gonna go by the wheel gap. I could always take another measurement off the ground, but I'd have to find some level ground somewhere first and then measure from the ground. But from the top of the tire, because the tire sits on the ground, that's gonna be like my suspension load right there. So right now, the wheel gap or load gap, we got about 3 inches here from the top of this fender, which may be rolled a little bit because of the damage here. I'm getting about, if I go level with the top of the tire, this is a pretty wide tire, so it's easy to level it out. I got about 3 inches there from here to here. And I checked the other side, and the other side is 2 3/4. So it could be uneven ground, which is fine. I'll take those two numbers and make an average. So I think the average is 2 7/8, give or take.
So that's what she looks like right now. 3-inch gap is pretty small, I think. She could go a little bit higher. I don't want to go too high, I just want to get a little bit of lift and a little bit more load capacity on the springs.